to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucius, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this recording. Welcome to Athletics LLC once again for another great episode. Fanfare, bells, whistles. This is our 20th episode. So we're going to do things a little bit differently, but all in fun, and we're going to see where it goes with this. But let's go ahead and start with our introductions. So if this is the first time you're watching us.
Did you say interruption or introductions?
Introductions, and it's okay.
I'm sorry. It's been a long day already.
Slip. That's what that was. Freudian slip.
Exactly.
I am Big League Chew. We are joined by Clyde.
Shout out to Lucius for the basketball tie. I'm wearing that in response to the bubble in the NBA playoffs starting. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Lucius, as always.
Hello, everyone.
And Lamar Pseudo-Gator Jeter.
That would be
You
him.
gotta give him points for creativity.
Yeah, he does. That's a wonderful hat you have on, sir.
You know what? This show might be called Gifts from Lucius.
You say?
Well,
You know, I too am sporting
So now
gift
I
from Lucius.
gotta send Big League something, right?
I mean, I'm just saying,
Okay.
it's got on Gator colors. So
It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
that one. Well, let's go ahead and start some questions. This evening, we will start with a professional one. Should a track and field coach diversify their portfolio in the sport, or should they hone in on their craft and spend time solely in one event area?
I think that the true answer to that lies in what it is that they want for their career. I could totally see value in doing either of those two paths. I think where I sit with that is, and I'll use myself as an example. I was a hurdler by trade, as an athlete. I obviously felt when I decided to get into coaching that I understood enough about hurdles to feel competent teaching that skill. And I felt that I needed to brush up as much as I possibly could on the sprints, because as we all understand in our profession, the sprints and hurdles kind of tie themselves in our profession. So that was my first level of, introduction to coaching education. I did sprint and hurdle stuff. And at some point I was like, well, if I could see myself being head of a program one day, I probably should learn as much as I can of the issues of the things that I would potentially want to coach to make myself a more attractive candidate to be hired as an assistant, or to be able to hire others under me as a head. So I went and got as far as I wanted to get in my certification for jumps. Personally, the distance stuff makes my head spin, and therefore I never went down that path. But for me, the career that I envisioned I wanted for myself dictated that I spread my education out as far as I was comfortable doing, and that's why I did that. But I'm totally okay and would co-sign people that say, you know what, I want to be the absolute best throws coach I can be, and I don't have time or bandwidth to focus on any of the other things. I want to hone in on this. Both paths make sense to me. I think the answer is about what you want for your career.
I'm going to speak to this from the chair that I sit in every day. And while I think it's a good thing that if you know different events and understand different events, because I think a lot of the events tie in together, if you're really trying to get to an upper level, your expertise in one event area is usually what's going to get you there. There's very few programs out there where you see a guy coaching sprints and jumps or distance and whatever. Most of the people get hired as a sprint and hurdle coach, a jumps coach, or whatever. So I think that while there's definitely value in learning every event that you can, your strength in one event area is usually that's not usually, but it's the thing that's going to get you the most the most valuable job that's out there. The fact that if you're a person that, well, I've had a little bit of success, or I know all these events, but I haven't had any success in any of them, it's not very likely that a big time program is going to come knocking on your door. So.
Well, I don't know. My approach obviously was a little bit different because, I mean, like Clyde said, I mean, if you start with what you did, I kind of did everything. So my advice, and I guess I'll give the answer from the chair that I sat in. I think when you're starting coaching, you should learn as much as you can. You should learn to understand and maybe coach as much as you can. But I think as you progress, you need to dress for the job you want and not the job you have. And at the end of the day, the more elite the program is, the greater the expectations of focus are. And look, I've coached on 2 different occasions in a program. I've been required to coach the sprints, jumps, hurdles, and multis. That is impossible at a track meet. And so I had to coach my kids to understand certain things, like I will be there for this, I won't be there for that, right? And at certain levels of programs, that is an okay thing. But if you're in a top 20 or top 25 program, that's probably not okay. Because if you recruit one of the best kids in the country, they want you to be there when they get off the bus, when they go to warm up, when they're done warming up, before they go out on the track or to the field, in between events. And I don't mean that they're being needy. Like, that is the requirement. Because if you're trying to get somebody to score at the national meet, you need to micromanage all of that, because all of that is a process. So I'm not trying to go around the block to go across the street. I am trying to say what I want to say, which is I think it's important to have the broad base to start with so that you figure out what you are most passionate about and then go down that street as far as you can. That's my own personal belief. I don't think that, like, if you were a sprinter, you shouldn't just like start coaching sprints, get your level 2 or level 3 in the sprints, and like that's it. So I think you need to get a broader base to understand all that goes on, to some degree, because of what Clyde said. Like, look, if your goal is eventually to be a head coach, I think we talked about this probably 3 or 4 shows ago. You have to know who to hire. So you got to be able to speak throws or speak jumps. You don't necessarily have to coach those things, but you got to be able to understand them. So I think a broad base to a kind of a path like this is probably the right way to go about it from a coaching career standpoint.
And absolutely, if you're going to be a head coach, you need to have an understanding of all the event areas. I like to tell my staff I know enough about what they do to make myself dangerous. And in some of the events, I may not exactly know how to get it there, but I know what it's supposed to look like because I'm paying attention. So if you do have aspirations of being a head coach, then it's definitely a great idea to learn as much as you can about as many event areas as you can, because even if you're not coaching them, remember you have to coach your coaches, your assistant coaches, when you're a head coach.
Got it. Everyone's pens and pads of paper on fire right now, trying to write down everything you guys just said. But well stated and well put, and hopefully well received as well. Let's ruffle some feathers. We'll see whose feathers get ruffled on this one. Who are some underrated track and field coaches out there?
I'll go first. I'm going to go with a guy that, he's a big golf guy, and he talks a lot about Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods and how people don't know who Phil Mickelson is really, because Tiger was so dominant during Phil's prime. And so I jokingly call him Mickelson. I mean, he's Doug Case at Arkansas, the sprint coach for the men in Arkansas. I mean, he takes guys you never heard of, and they just get it done. He's done a phenomenal job with 4x1s and 4x4s with people that, they even won a national championship, at least one time with a group of 3 or 4 guys that were not very highly rated out of high school. I think he's a good friend. I think he does a phenomenal job with with the sprint program at Arkansas on the men's side.
I'll go next. I have a few people in mind, but the first person that stands out the largest to me on this issue is, fortunately, on my campus, and that is Mo Satara, our throws coach here at Cal Berkeley. I honestly barely knew who Mo was before accepting this job. And after watching him work all this year, that man is phenomenal. And the reason that he's so good at what he does is he has an infectious way to communicate with his kids, and he has a way, as all coaches should be able to do, of simplifying things that are complicated and getting their kids to understand. Mo does an incredible job here, and currently, has the NCAA champion in the hammer, and he's one of the reasons that has made my transition out to Cal so awesome, is because I get to be around people like Mo Satara. So, props to Mo.
Well, my first one is a pretty easy one. He actually hired me for my first collegiate job. John Goodrich is the head track and field and cross country coach for the men at Eastern Michigan. And honestly, the guy's amazing to me. He battles at the national level and has for the last almost 30 years in cross, and he's been at such wonderful places as Wake Forest and Eastern Michigan. Both very, very tough places to get kids. At I think 69 years old, he's still probably one of the top 5 recruiters that I know of. He's indefatigable by ways of energy. His knowledge base is insane. And I'll just put it to you this way. Like, I learned a great deal about the distances from him, not just because he was a distance coach, because he actually took the time to sit me down and say, okay, well, look, this is what's going on, and teach me the chess version of what's going on distance races wise, and not the checkers version. The checkers version we all got, right? It's a bunch of people in shorts running around for a bunch of laps, and when I go get popcorn, when I come back, they're still running, right? And so when I was taught that there's a strategy to it, and that there's that everybody's trying to figure out how they're going to get in that last pack of 8 or 9, right? You want to drop everybody else so you can be in contention to score. Like, that made sense to me. And I watched all these races in a whole different fashion. And so I would just say, for me, really easy. I think John Goodrich is probably one of the jewels of the distance world that a lot of people don't know.
Okay. My next guy, I'm going to delve into the throws world a little bit, is Justin St. Clair at North Dakota State. I mean, he's a guy that's produced NCAA champions, NCAA record holders. And if you go and look at the pedigree of those athletes, most of them were not really well known in high school. But he just seems to have a way of, being patient and over time just producing great athletes. And I think he's somebody that's definitely underrated. And people don't know a lot about him, but clearly the man's doing something right. So people might want to give him a call and check it out. So he's definitely getting it done.
I'm gonna shift to a pair. I'm gonna stay on the West Coast, and I shouted out my home crew here at Berkeley, so I'm gonna have to shout out my rivals. As everyone knows, Cal and Stanford are our blood rivals, and much like we had a coaching transition here at Cal, Stanford's had one out here as well. And I think Jarius Cooper, who is the sprint coach at Stanford currently, and Iggy, which is how we all know him, Arthur Ignigzak, I can't pronounce that boy's last name to save my life, but Iggy, are both phenomenal coaches, and in my opinion, very underrated. They are going to make my time out here a lot more difficult to have such quality people working across the bay from us, but I enjoy the competition and the challenge, and those two guys are really good at their job, and I respect them.
My next one's kind of close to my heart. He is a fraternity brother of mine, but he's also, I don't know, maybe one of the classiest human beings I've ever met. And for sure, the actual smartest track and field coach I've ever met. Because I made a joke with him one time. I said, dude, you're not just smart. You're like Mensa smart. And he's like, yeah. And then I realized he was serious, and I was like, are you in Mensa? And he was like, yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that makes so many other things make sense. But Tyree Price at Bethune-Cookman is definitely the best jumps coach that nobody knows. All of the people who are in the know in the industry, they do know who he is, but the vast majority of people, when they start naming jumps coaches, they don't name him. And trust me, that guy's had several 13-meter females and several 780 plus guys that you'd never heard of before they got there. And I mean never heard of. Like girls that were like 5'55" in high school that end up jumping 630 and 640. So at the end of the day, game recognizes game, and the dude can just flat out coach. And he's one of the classiest individuals I've ever met in my entire life. So my definitive shout out goes to one Mr. Tyree Price.
Okay. I'm going to go to the distance side on this one. And I'm going to get a little bit of a shout out to Mark Burns at Missouri. He takes people that, again, we never heard of. And then all of a sudden they're winning conference titles, they're challenging for national titles. He puts cross-country teams together with girls that, again, people that aren't the most highly recruited girls out there. And I think he does a phenomenal job. And obviously I see him a lot because we're in the same conference now. But so my next guy is Mark Burns, the distance and middle distance coach in Missouri.
And so I guess that puts me up next again.
If you have
I would be remiss not to shout out my former boss, Richie Bean. If we're going distance, I will put Richie Bean's ability to develop talent up against anybody in the distance world in the NCAA. It's unfortunate that because it's HBCU world, he often doesn't get his hands on, your blue chip distance runners. But that man, from the 10K down to the 800, I would wholeheartedly endorse anybody in those events, giving Richie Bean a chance to coach them, because that man has done phenomenal work with kids you would never even remotely know otherwise, and has more championships under his belt conference-wise than I think anyone in Division I. So Richie Bean, Alabama State, he is the boss, he's the director, and if you want to learn how to run distance, that is a man you need to talk to.
I like it. My last one for the night is I don't think he's going to be underrated for very much longer, but he was at, I always mess this up, Southeast Louisiana. He's at one of them directional Louisiana schools. I always mess it up, so he already knows I'm gonna mess it up. And then popped into Stanford for a very short time, and then they moved up the entire caravan and moved across the country to North Carolina. So I don't think Amin Nikfar is going to be underrated or I'll say lesser known for very long. But if I had to endorse a young throws coach for skill, knowledge base, and work ethic, I don't think I could put forth another name any more aggressively than Amin Nikfar. Yes, he is one of my former athletes from when I was the head coach at Cal, but I'm proud of him for who he's become as a coach and a teacher of events. And unlike a lot of young people, he's a huge student of the events. And I think that he's what you're looking for in a throws coach and a coach on your staff. Just my opinion.
All right, I'm gonna give you a couple on this one, and then I'm gonna be done because I can do this all night. But these are two guys that I think that are definitely underrated. One is he's actually the gentleman that's coaching the 400 on the women's side at the University of South Carolina. What he's done there the last couple of years has been absolutely phenomenal. I know he has some success. He was somewhere in Colorado before he came here, and but I am not going to butcher his last name. We're just going to call him Kareem. And we'll leave it there, but he's doing a phenomenal job. And the other guy that I think flies way under the radar, He is not only is a great coach, he's a good guy, one of the funniest people to walk the planet. But he's had the NCAA champion on the women's side and the NCAA champion on the men's side. He does a great job of developing, and that's Sean Jackson at TCU in the jumps. Chuck knows him well. And so Sean's my guy. If I want to laugh, he's definitely a guy. Pick up the phone, he'll get you laughing, but no, don't sleep on that guy. He can coach his tail off. So shout out to Sean as well.
And I think my last one, we'd be remiss if we didn't throw some ladies into this. So for me, I'm going to get out of the NCAA world, and I'm actually going to throw it down to the high school crew. Lakedria Stewart in Texas, she works at Duncanville High School and deals with the men's side. And anybody that knows the whole monotony of females being asked to coach boys or men, she's doing a phenomenal job down there. And she's been doing it for a while. And, Duncanville is one of the better programs in the state of Texas, and she's doing a phenomenal job. Shout out to Sammy Dabbs, one of her mentors, a close personal friend of mine. He was gushing about the work that she's been doing over the past while, and that tricked my memory into getting her name on this for this thing here. So, Lakedria Stewart, former Texas A&M athlete, Duncanville, Texas, doing your thing, girl.
Thanks for sneaking a lady in there. I was gonna call somebody out if no one did. I appreciate it. So let's have a little bit of fun before we get your minds overwhelmed. We've got a track and field fantasy draft. It's your first overall pick. You get one male, you get one female. Let's start with the females first. Who is your track and field fantasy pick? What event and why?
True, as all fantasy drafts go down, you're by default sitting in the commissioner's chair. So I would like to know, commish, how we decide who gets to pick first, because that's going to be an issue.
See, this is my lottery being spun. My ticket's in. Mouse Holloway is first.
Boo! Fixed, rigged.
So
hey,
you know
wait.
Isn't that how all fantasy drafts go?
I'm looking at the names. Ain't nobody on here named Mouse.
Lucius is first. My apologies.
Oh.
All right, so it's just we're doing the women first, so I could not be first on the next one. That's fine. Because trust me, I'm good with that. Okay, so I'm just going to go. I'm going with Shawnee Miller-Weibo. That's my number one pick because she can run the 2, she can run the 4. She's showing now that she can run the 100. She can stick her on any relay. Brings a lot of versatility. Just by being around her a little bit when she was in college and watching her as a professional, she has a lot of personality. I think she'd bring a lot of fire and leadership to the team. So Shawnee Miller would be my number one draft pick.
Got it. Okay. Here's the next one. I'll get the name right this time.
Clyde can go second. I'm good.
Hey, Clyde, anyways. Shut your hot pie hole.
Oh, sorry. Pie hole shut.
You see how Lamar set this whole thing up, because we all know it's snake. So he gets to end up going first for the men, which is a bunch of nonsense. You know how the fantasy games play, so you ain't fooling nobody. But yeah, you're not slick. You're not slick at all. So it's cool though. It's cool. If I'm in the number 2 position and Miss Shawnee Miller is already off the board, I'm gonna have to go with Sid the Kid. I'm taking Sid McLaughlin. I'm taking Sid McLaughlin. She can do too many things. I can stick her in relays. She can replace some people who others may think should be in relays, both 4x1 and 4x4 ahead of her. So my female draft pick, I'm taking Sydney McLaughlin.
All right, bring up the rear.
Oh man. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely tanked the women's draft because I knew for sure these two were gonna take my people. So you know what? I'm gonna do what I do in fantasy drafts when I get to this point. When I don't have a particular person, I'm gonna go with the best talent available. I'm gonna mess her last name up. She's the triple jumper from. I think she was originally Cuban. She's coached by Pedroso. Is it Rojas? Oh
yeah. Rojas.
That's her name, right?
I think that's the American pronunciation of it. I'm sure.
I hope she watches the show, but I hope I didn't butcher her name. But I just know this. I know she can triple jump. I know she can long jump. I'm pretty sure I could get her to high jump really high, and we'll work from there. So I'm gonna go with her over my heartbeat pick of Couture Orgy, just because I think she might be a little faster, just a little.
Yulimar Rojas. She's from Venezuela.
There we go, Rojas. She's a monster.
By default, you're up, sir. So go ahead.
Oh, I got the first pick on the men's side?
I mean, that is how fantasy works. You snake back to the front, right?
Let me get in close so y'all can see my shock face.
Right. To throw the boo out there first so it looked original.
Well, look, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I didn't think I was going to get the first pick. So without further ado, welcome to the New York Gators. You know them and you love them. Some people call them Flamingo. I just call him G-Money, Grant, Mickey Fricky Holloway.
Mickey Fricky, okay.
I mean, I'm not sure what he can't do.
Okay.
Well, that puts me back in the middle position, and this really shouldn't be much of a surprise. If Holloway was already off the board, I'm staying in the hurdles. I'm taking John Wick Benjamin right off the board for the exact same reason I took Sid the Kid. There's nothing that he can't do. There's absolutely nothing that he can't do. And he will affect all the relays as well as lower that 400-meter world record to something that I think is going to blow everybody's mind. So Rye Benjamin is my pick.
And I knew this was going to happen, so I was prepared.
I'm sorry, sir.
No. But I'm glad you did this because it's just show you the versatility of my mind and of my cadre of phenomenal athletes.
Please bless us with your greatness, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to throw. You're probably going to be a little bit surprised by this pick, but I'm going with another Gator great. I'm going with Christian Taylor. He can long jump, triple jump, obviously. He can run the 4x1. He can run the 4x4. He can run the open quarter. And he's a great leader. So I'm gonna go with Christian Taylor since you took my baby cousin from me.
I mean that's a great pick, but it's not exactly outside the box of
right.
It's not outside the box, but I don't think anybody was expecting me to take Christian. That's my point. Yeah. Oh no, it's not outside the box at all. I mean, geez, for me.
Maybe nobody off this show, but everybody on this show knew who you were going with.
Right. You didn't know I was going with Christian.
Okay, let's put it this way.
Hold on a second. You probably thought I was going to go with Karan. Tell the truth.
No, absolutely not. Because we're picking one person, right? So you got to pick the most versatile. I would have picked Christian.
Okay, that's true.
Now, since we got through that relatively fast, may I ask for a slight shift in this? Can we go a second round? Only you can pick either gender. You got 2 more picks?
Absolutely.
Ooh, wow.
And for the record, I thought we're not sticking to current fantasy. This is all-time fantasy?
Well, who's not running?
Well, the name Karan came up.
No. Yeah. Look, if you want to, I think it should be current. Like, you can't draft somebody.
It should be current.
So you can't draft somebody. Karan's still running?
All right. Well, you're up. You're up. So,
damn, that was disrespectful.
That was wrong.
You're up.
Rod is still running.
He absolutely is.
He is still running.
And I'm a big fan.
Okay, so who's up now?
2002.
So I'm up.
Yeah, you're up. You still got 2 picks coming. You still got 2 picks.
So I'm gonna go 1 male, 1 female.
But you only get 1 right now. You only get 1 pick.
Okay, so which one up? So we gonna
Whichever
go 1
one you want.
You
gonna go 1 male, 1 female? Okay. So look, I'm gonna dig into y'all's bags because I know one of y'all want this guy. I'm going with Mike Norman. There you go. You're welcome since you wanted Flamingo so bad. Thank you very much.
I mean, I had that coming.
Yes, you did.
I'll take that.
You steal mine, I steal yours.
Fair enough.
And I don't think I need to tell everybody that he's run 9.8 and 19.6.
I mean, fair enough.
3 and all that stuff. So I'll take Mike Norman. I'm off to a good start. I got a lot of events coming right now.
So this is really interesting because as fantasy goes, I'm in a box here.
Mm-hmm.
I could risk taking a female that I would want and probably lose the guy that I'm gonna want on the back sweep, or I can take him now.
So I'm gonna be helpful and tell you, take the guy you want, because I know for sure the girl I want is not the girl you want.
Yeah, and that's that fantasy psychology, which I'm not falling for at all. So I'm not
trying to help you.
that at all. That's the stuff my mother tries to do to me in our fantasy football draft right there. I'm not buying that at all. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and take Sha'Carri Richardson. I'm gonna take Sha'Carri Richardson off the board. For obvious
Go right
reasons.
ahead. So now I pick both, right?
No, yeah, you get to pick both because you're on. Yeah, that's right. You're in the magical last pick spot.
To be fair, how about if we go in a circle for this?
No, pick them both. Pick them both. Look, we don't want you changing rules for us, dog. We know whimsy.
Okay, well, on the female side, I'm gonna take Nefi TM, and I think we're good because there's really not anything she can't do. I think we're covered pretty good there, including the 58-meter javelin thrower. So we're all right. I like the 6'4" high jump and 23-foot triple jump, 23-foot long jump combination. We'll go with that one. Man, I tell you what, I'm gonna win the off the bus competition on the women's side, right? They're both like 6'2".
They are.
They are both very, very tall. Oh, see, now y'all threw me for a quandary on this men's side, and that's fair. That's fair.
And that really happens in fantasy football.
Right. He's praying to God right now. I don't take his guy. Oh.
The clock for 30 seconds. Spit it out.
Okay, that's fair. There's so many guys I like.
15.
You know what? I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay in my corner, and I'm gonna take Kevin Meyer.
I'm good with it.
I know you are. I knew it wasn't your guy, but
I'm good with it.
If I'm building a team, I'm gonna take the very, very versatile guy and the incredibly versatile female, and
you will do a phenomenal job when there are minimal eyes watching the TV. Absolutely. When all the eyes are on the TV, my team is going to be amazing, and I'm taking what I consider to be the best story going in the game right now. I'm taking Trayvon Bromell.
Wow, can I have my men's pick back? I was trying to be nice and leave the guy for you. You didn't even take him.
I told you, I'm taking Trayvon.
Okay. You can take the 100-meter specialist.
What do you call that? The one-trick pony?
I mean, and it ain't even a good trick.
And I'm gonna. This,
I like him,
if you guys, I like Trey. That's my guy. He's a Florida guy. But if you guys figure out who this one was ahead of time, there's no way. So I'm gonna try to be balanced, and I'm gonna go with somebody that I think is on the super rise to super stardom, and I'm gonna take Shelby Houlihan. So now I'm balanced to roll around it. So I will see y'all at the starting line, folks. Let's do this.
Can I get an alternate of Noah Lyles since nobody wanted him?
No. See, when I took Mike, I thought you were gonna take Noah.
I was going to, but I thought that's what Chuck wanted. I'm sorry,
No,
what Clyde
Chuck's
wanted,
not
so I
allowed.
tried to be nice.
Listen,
He probably
many
should have
times-
taken Lyles because if
For
he's trying to
sure.
put a 4x4 together, you got no shot with Bromell on the 4x4.
all that's cool. We've had multiple conversations in multiple shows about marketing, about the specter of the sport. I like the best story going in the sport right now, which is Trayvon Bromell. I'm trying to sell tickets and storyline. I'm rolling with it.
If you think
Okay.
we're gonna sell more tickets than Lyles, then we'll talk
Right.
about that on another
Right.
time. Because Lyles may be the biggest name in the sport right now.
I'm sure that he is. On the men's side, I agree. I'm trying to sell a different story.
I mean, I'll
A
just say
different
this.
story and less tickets.
If we're trying to sell tickets,
Trayvon
ain't nobody
Bromell
selling more
storyline.
tickets than me.
Wait a minute, hold on for a second. In all seriousness, COVID doesn't ruin the Olympics. The Olympics happen. What's a better story? Noah Lyles winning the 1 or the 2, or Trayvon Bromell winning the 100? Which is a better story?
Okay. Well, there's no doubt about what the better story is, but here's the but let me help you a little bit. Which one is more likely?
In the 100 meters, I'll take Trayvon.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Trayvon in the 100 meters.
Okay. Well, so let me ask this question: who's gonna sell more tickets, Flamingo, or all of that nonsense you just said?
Well, sir, but you had the first pick. I mean, I would have taken Flamingo. He wasn't available. What you mean?
Not just some of it. All of that
You
nonsense
made
you
the
just said.
comment that my team was gonna show up when nobody was watching. I'm sorry. I think everybody's gonna be watching my team because I got 2 6'2" absolutely awesome females and the most likable guy who also happens to be kind of talented. I think we're doing okay.
Oh, sir, you misunderstood me. I was just taking a shot at your decathlon prowess. That's all. I was just taking a shot at the multi-events. That's all.
Hey, but look,
Kevin
Meyer's gonna get some airtime now. it might just be highlights, but that dude's getting some airtime.
He keeps forgetting that Kevin Myers is European.
Yeah, he's getting some airtime.
I was just taking a decathlon jab at you.
And I have a great appreciation for you and the fact that you love the underdog. You know, that's you do, and you love the soft story. Good luck.
I mean, look, let's be clear. Nobody on this show dislikes Trayvon. We all love him. He's a great person.
Great person.
Great person.
But there's some mountains to climb with that right now.
She has a nice personality too.
Ow.
Okay. Shoot. What was that?
I'm just saying, like, look, I love Trayvon. I don't.
No, look, Trayvon. Look, that's my guy.
Great possibility of that young man winning the Olympics in the 100. I'll be a huge fan if he does. Okay, I'll be standing up like this, like let's go, because he's a great human being. But we picked in a fantasy draft, so in my fantasy, Trayvon is not winning.
Yeah, not in mine either.
Well, I want to make sure that we highlight that those were all follower viewer questions that we just highlighted. Last week we asked everyone to send in some hot topics and some questions that you might want to be addressed. We had quite a few submitted, and those were the 3 that we found to be the most thought-provoking or maybe the most entertaining for us to entertain on the show while recording. So thank you for everyone who submitted questions. That was awesome. Thank you so much for your time and your viewership at that. But something we're wanting to talk about too is just, with our 20th episode and, holy crap, it's been 5 months since we've all been stuck in the house, and where did the time go and how are we here already? But graciously, we're still all alive, well and healthy. How did this come about? Because we get this question quite often. How did these 4 tiles land on one black screen together? And so I'm going to ask Lamar to speak about it a little bit because he's our executive producer if you make it all the way to the credits at the end.
So click off as soon as we're done, right?
So Lamar, if you'll just shine some light as to how we got all here, that would be awesome.
Ooh. Well, I guess to give that answer, I got to go back to the beginning. Lucius and I think we probably have legitimately been friends since the first week we met. He tells this story better than I, but he heard me doing block starts I always mess this up. Was it before the trials or before the Olympics?
He does
the trials.
So he heard me doing block starts and was like inquiring like, who the hell is that? And anyway, long story short, we met. We ended up in the same car once, and we've kind of been friends ever since. And
so the true story about the car is that I'm in the back seat, sandwiched between him and CJ Hunter. Yeah. So you go tell the story, tell the whole story.
As any coach should be on the road in our business.
Yeah, no. We're in Atlanta at the Olympic Trials and trying to get back to the hotel. And I'm in the back seat, and I'm like, so. Yeah,
He's back there breathing like this.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry. I had to tell the truth about that. But go ahead.
For sure. And so I guess somewhere between 96 and 2000, I started watching sports talk or listening to sports talk radio, and everybody always has these these monikers or whatever. And I said to him, because we would have these relatively heated kind of State of the Union conversations about track, and I was like, dude, we need to one day we need to do a radio show. We need to have monikers, but they don't even need to make sense. Like, we should just be Lucius and Lamar, and nobody will know who Lucius is and nobody who Lamar is. And so we jokingly became Lucius and Lamar. But here's the truth to everybody else. We didn't actually become me being Lamar and him being Lucius until we started this show. Prior to that, Lucius and Lamar were interchangeable. So whoever called got to be whoever. So if I called, then I would be like, Lucius, what's up? Or I'd be like, Lamar, what's up? So that's kind of how that happened. Beyond that, when we finally kind of got faced with this incredible pandemic, I think I just decided one day, we need to do this. And this is something that has been brewing for more than 20 years, and we felt like people needed to hear it. I guess that was presumptuous. But I'll say this. I was truly fortunate in the next phase of how this all happened. One, we needed another person who was A, knowledgeable, B, not exactly like either of us, and C, who was intelligent, because having a heated conversation with the two of us does require a certain level of intelligence, or else you kind of get beat up. So Clyde was the first choice, and I was blessed that he said yes immediately. And within, 3 hours, he had a nickname. I didn't give him Clyde. I think it works great. And then the last part was just truly a blessing. It's really simple. Marissa started Coach's Collab because she's a genius and the rest of us are just in her little world. And watching who she became on, in the coaching world and on the internet, and watching her monitor, manage, and regulate calls over the span of probably a month before we started this, I just crossed my fingers and said, hey, I think we want to try to do this show. I don't really know how long it's going to go or how it's going to go, but we would really, really love to have you as the moderator, because you're great at kind of managing this stuff, and you also have insight when insight is needed. And again, I think we were all very, very blessed that she said yes, because I've had a couple people say to me like, well, what does she do? Or like, why is she on the show? And I keep saying, like, look, the show's not the show without her. And those who get it completely get it. But she runs the show, and we just listen and do what she tells us to do.
Well, there you go. There's our Cliff Notes, for if you're old enough to know what Cliff Notes are. There's our Cliff Notes version.
Right.
the open flat version of where we are. For those that haven't put it together, because there's actually a few who haven't, the LLC and Athletics LLC is Lucius, Lamar, and Clyde. So we aren't actually an LLC because some people think we are. But
I mean, although we probably will be.
And to that point, that's hilarious, because that was exactly my intention when I decided that my moniker needed to have a C in it. That was exactly the route I wanted to go with the audience. Full disclosure, the original name that I had came up with on my own was Lucifer, but I felt like that might offend some people.
Yes.
Lucifer. and therefore Miss Tiana B is responsible for dubbing me Clyde. And so shout out to Tiana B for the Clyde. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because then it can be an LLC kind of issue. So there you go.
That's definitely better than Lucifer, by the way, sir.
Way better.
I'd have to pray every time after I said your name.
Yes.
Right?
And so, you know, like as my man Lamar said, like, you know, Lucius and Lamar was interchangeable forever. And so I was out for a walk, and I think I walked for like almost 2 hours that day. And we talked for about over an hour of it. And he's like, we need to do this. You know, we've been doing this. We've been doing this since the early 2000s. It's done it on lots of continents. You know, it just happens. And so he said, we need to make this happen. And I was like, well, what better time now when we're in the middle of the pandemic and we're doing nothing but walking every day and doing more Lucius and Lamar show. So, and then I think it was the night of the first recording, he goes, so who's going to be Lucius? Who's going to be Lamar? So, you know, that was kind of he goes, okay, I'll be Lamar, you be Lucius. But I think the great thing about it is that, you know, we've had very heartfelt, very deep discussions. We've also had discussions where, like, we both lost our voice from, like anything from, you know, starts to specific training to raising children. We talked about anything you can imagine over the years, and we've become and still are very good friends because of it. And being able to do this for the last 20 weeks it's been awesome. You know, being able to share thoughts, share ideas, and the comments I get from people that watch it every week. It's been very heartfelt. You know, I've been very surprised that people actually think we're pretty smart. So
They really like us.
exactly, yeah. Like, wow. So it's been pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So we just wanted to be able to say thank you and give you a little piece of the outside of the four screens of why this is here and why we're here and how we got here. So hopefully that allows you to buy in a little bit more into what we do, and, you know, definitely spread the word, because all we want to do is share our thoughts, encourage people to have other thoughts, to maybe agree to disagree, and whatever that means to that person at that time that's receiving the word that we're saying. So definitely. But
I want to ask a question though.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I want to ask each of the three of you what does this mean to you? What does Athletics LLC mean to you?
The show itself, name.
The show itself.
Oh, the name. Well, I think I just answered that, didn't I?
Well, okay, so I'll go actually, because
And then I'll say something else, just help my boy out a little bit.
so
Go ahead, Big League.
the comment has been made definitely on our YouTube channel and whatnot, and there are some, as you said, Lamar, people ask kind of what I do. Honestly, what I do is learn. I pose the questions, but I listen to everything that everyone says on the panel here on the show, and because I am the youngest in the sport in regards to feet on the ground. I mean, feet on the ground, I don't think I'm even double digits yet. So I know the least. And so this is just, it's a learning opportunity. My nervousness, and I know Lucius still gets all weird about it. Like, I don't get as nervous anymore when you sign on, but I still get nervous. So, and then, you know, I mean, it just happens to be that it's one of those things that there are a lot of people who ask me about that, you know, just in regards to submitting the questions. I put out that last little message about, like, stop being weenies and give us real questions or hard questions. And I had a few people respond like, that's intimidating to give that panel those questions. And I was like, don't pump them up that much. But it is, that's what it is I hold the three of you in such high regard, and, you know, am blessed to, whether you know it or not, all three of you are my mentors. And so it's just awesome every week to be able to sit here and just hear all of the brain vomit that you have, and I just get to digest it all firsthand, and then apparently to some I just run and regurgitate what you guys say. So besides my own thoughts. But yes, That is
Not Lamar, I hope.
No,
What?
I just drinks.
What's in the cup, dog?
Nothing now.
So that's what it means to me. So
Clyde?
This show, and I can say this because it's been said to me, this show has helped fill a void in a very important and trying time for our community, I should say. And I think a lot of people are appreciative of that and look forward to it.
And I think that the thing for me is, Big League, you said it, the learning factor. While we don't always agree, I think that we definitely have views that we all learn from each other. I believe that we are educating others. I believe that we touch on topics that some people are afraid to talk about. And so we create conversation. There's definitely a following of people on some of the social media sites that like to discuss what we discuss after we discuss it, or even challenge us to do better. We won't get into that tonight, but I think the big thing for me is again, like Clyde said, fill the void. It gave me something to do when I had nothing to do. But it wasn't just something to do. It was, something that I was doing that had some meaning to it. And when I realized that people really enjoyed it and we were helping people, that, it became something that I look forward to doing every week, and still do.
Well, I asked the question because look, I don't get to talk about this very much, but this show means everything to me. I get to spend time with 3 of my best friends talking about a sport that we love. And, my goal for every show is to do 3 things, like to inspire people to go out and do something better. Either it's better in their career or learn more about their sport. It's to educate, because I think there's a great amount of history of the sport that gets lost because it's only passed via word of mouth, because people just don't, they don't read, so to speak. It used to be like, look, when I grew up in the sport, like track and field news came out, like you couldn't talk to me for 3 days because I had to read it cover to cover twice and then basically memorize it. So when the conversation happened, I could spit out the information. I know I'm a nerd. But then 3, for me, is like my hope is to inspire. Like I hope that every show that we do inspires somebody to want to be better than all of us. I hope that, whenever the day is that we decide that we don't want to do this anymore, somebody else is going to be like, nah, this show is too important, and I'm going to be the next Lamar or the next Lucius or the next Clyde or someone aspires to be Big League Chew or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, I would just have to say, I guess I, like Lucius, I look forward to the nights that we record. And as crazy as it sounds, I look forward to Friday afternoon or Friday early evening when the show comes out, because I watch it just like everybody else.
All right. So one of my favorite things about what we do here is people may not realize that we do not edit the show.
Nope.
In any sense of the word. Chew hits record, and what you guys ultimately are watching are the way that it goes down in real time. There are no edits, there are no takeouts, there are no recuts, or none of that. And this is a perfect example of that, because typically we've been closing the show with our heartbeat props, and I'm pretty sure that was on the agenda for today. But Lamar threw this random ass question of what the show means to us and ruined my heartbeat props, because my heartbeat props for today were going to go to my 3 colleagues, which is why I gave such a short, lame response to his question. But now we're in the moment and I have to actually give the answer that I was going to give. So thanks for that, sir. we're
So
just
go
gonna
ahead and give.
move
So
right
then go ahead and
along
give
with
your
that.
heartbeat props, my
Go
man.
ahead, give your
Right.
heartbeat props. We'll just
So,
jump right in from there.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna end that and jump right into that. Because that was my heartbeat. Clowns, man. I swear. So ultimately, what this show has meant to me, it has filled a void. I think for the fans of what we all do, and for our colleagues and for ourselves. But honestly, the invitation to be a part of this show has meant so much to me because, yes, before this show, I could legitimately claim that Lamar was my friend. And yes, I could legitimately claim that Lucius was my friend. But it's a moment where I learned the level of esteem that they held me in. And that was a moment, that meant a lot to me. And when people watch this, you may see us on here having fun, talking trash to each other, spitting knowledge from time to time, and laughing. But at the end of the day, this is a very special room for me to be in. It's a seat that I feel very privileged to have, and the invitation in itself was an honor. And that includes to sit here with Chu, who I cannot understate how proud I am at the attention and the voice that Chu has brought to herself this summer amidst the pandemic and all the inspiring ideas and the utter brilliance of the Coaches Collab. So what the show ultimately means to me is something I literally look forward to every Wednesday. It's an opportunity for me to talk trash with my friends about what we all love to do for a living. It's an opportunity to educate. It's an opportunity to have all of our real personalities get introduced to the public, because the fact of the matter is, with the exception of probably Lucius, who, is the godfather and sits on the current throne of our sport, a lot of people don't probably realize who we are as people. And I think that shines through really, really well on this show. I know for a fact that people have learned righteous things about who I am and where I come from and my mentality and the way I see things of the world through watching the show. And I wouldn't have that opportunity if not for my three colleagues here. So my heartbeat props for the evening are to the three of you. Love you all, clowns that Lamar can be in the moment. And, seriously though, I'm honored to have this chair and to be the first round draft pick of LLC has meant a lot to me, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Just as a point of clarification, you were second round draft pick. We drafted you first.
Rightfully so.
Just saying. I don't want to,
That ain't how you articulated it in the description.
Because I was trying to give you props and make you feel better, but I want you to sleep at night properly.
And
ladies always come first. Ladies come first.
There he is, clowning again.
I mean, I am who I am, right?
Yes, you are.
Would you like to do your heartbeat props, Mr. Lucius?
I mean, like you're the clown, you have the show, so go ahead.
Well, it's funny that first of all, it's funny that Clyde said that, and look, in all seriousness, I am honored, and I received that, and you do mean the world to me, and I'll say that out loud. I'm okay with it. But it's, this is a labor of love that is absolutely awesome. I think that we do every week, and a job's always great when you like doing it, and I think that's kind of the cool thing. My heartbeat props is somebody I actually mentioned earlier as an underrated coach. My heartbeat props is one Mr. John Goodrich. Not only is he the first person to give me a job, we basically made up a job. I went in his office, and I was still a post-collegiate athlete, very much so. And I had moved there to train with his assistant coach, who was my first college coach. And I said, well, Coach, honestly, I have a lot of free time, and we don't have any sprinters. I was like, would you be opposed to me seeing if I could get some football guys to come out and maybe we have a 4x1 or something? And he said, yeah, if you think you can do that, go right ahead. I think that would be awesome. But you know, you got to take the recruiting test. You got to do all these different things. And I said, okay. And I got so much more than that. I mean, yes, I was blessed enough to get 4 guys to come out, and we did some pretty special things. And that group was, whew, I owe them more than I could ever say publicly. But I'll just say that I learned so much working for him, and I had maybe the greatest first collegiate job anybody could ever have, because I learned a great deal about what it means to be a coach and what the responsibility of being a coach is. And in a lot of ways, like, about being a better man and a better father. I mean, the guy's incredible. And my heartbeat props go out to one Mr. John Goodrich, who I'm pretty sure watches the show. And he's probably smiling and maybe shedding a tear. Well, I guess he won't be now, but Friday. But one way or the other, I love you, and I appreciate you.
Well done, sir. My heartbeat props goes out to a guy that I'm absolutely certain does not watch the show, but he wasn't referenced by name, but he had a big to do with me being able to actually meet Lamar. Back in 1990, I was floundering. I just struggling in life, and I was actually gonna move back home, back to Ohio. And I get a knock on the door, and the young lady says, "This guy doesn't want you to leave until he gets back." And so he came by to see me. He convinced me to stay in town. He asked me to coach him. He was coming off a season where he didn't have a stellar season. And he said he saw something in me that he thought I could help him be one of the best sprinters in the world. And that next year, after we worked together, he's actually finished third at the World Championships. He was third in the World USA as well. It was Dennis Mitchell. And I'm not sure what Dennis saw in me. I'm not sure why he sent his then fiance to my door to tell me to please don't leave until he got a chance to talk to me. But he told me when he came back, he said, "Look, I'm telling you, man, you got a gift and you can do this. And I don't want you to move back to Ohio and never coach again." And I told him I'd give it a shot, and the rest is history. So my heartbeat props are to Dennis for changing the course, because I was going back home to detail cars with my dad. So worked out pretty good for me. So Green Machine, appreciate you, brother.
I just want to say really quick. I think people who don't know the story don't get that. Like, Lucius, you were coaching at what level when this conversation happened?
I was a high school coach at Buell's High School here in town.
And so one of the best sprinters in the world saw that in you.
Yes, he did.
So all you at home, please take note. Please take note that greatness may be staring you right in the face. Pay attention. Pay attention.
That was, again, just I get emotional thinking about it. Dennis and I, share thoughts about it all the time. And, he just said, "Mike, I saw something in you, and I wasn't going to let you walk away from coaching." And I'm glad he didn't. Forever grateful for that conversation.
Imagine what the conversation would be if it weren't.
Exactly, yeah. I'd be watching on YouTube and not participating in the LLC, right?
Your name might actually be Sam Sausagehead.
Exactly. I might have fallen off that turnip truck you talking about.
You might have fallen off that turnip truck.
To wrap up our heartbeat props, I've got to give it's to a group similarly. It's my first round of high school kids that I coached, the kids at Hayward High. Man, they showed me that I really loved coaching, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. I thought I was coming into some inner city kids who are just going to be some baby's kids that I'm like, dang, go away. And, I tell this story all the time, and, they gave me a run for my money because they didn't know what this little Asian chick who just had a baby was coming in to tell them to do. Like, why are we supposed to listen to you? And I don't know what I said. I don't know what I did, I definitely cracked on them a few times, but they listened, and they got me to love them. That, as much as we say we try to get the kids to buy in and whatnot, they got me to love them enough to devote my time, my energy, and allow them to be a part of my life and a part of my heart. And so there are definitely some key players that I'll probably mention out future for Heartbeat Props, but just the Hayward High crew, they are something special. They literally are, and I love to see where they're at now. And we've got a few of them who've gone to do to have collegiate careers in track and field, even in football too, because I did work with football players as well. But it's, I mean, kind of like what we talked about with Robert H. Johnson last week about the tell me something good. That's all I could do, was tell you something good about them every single day I saw them. So to those Hayward High kids, love you guys. Thanks for allowing me to get to where I am now. So, whew, see, we didn't think we could do it, huh? we got through our 20th episode, guys.
Yes, we did.
20 down and 200 more to go.
Right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your attention this evening, for your energy, for your love, and all the above. We'll wrap up tonight, carry on to next week, and see what else ruckus we can develop in between those times. You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.
When the lights come on, the roaches get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth hit them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's pacing with pill to go further. Hey, Wiley, Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.